ready yet?
It took a little longer, but now it's ready. I just have to adjust a little bit of a board.
Okay. You want me to bring this closer?
I think
Huh?
I will.
Yeah, that might be good to do. I may not have much, but I think every day I want to be just ready, and so that prompts me to think about some things.
Is that gonna be comfortable for
Yeah,
you?
yeah,
Okay.
very much. Okay, shall we start?
Yeah.
Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavabhai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Can you come to the front seats, please? Come as close as possible. Already this classroom is kind of elongated that way. So,
Is that okay?
Yes, thank you.
No problem.
okay. Om Mauna Vyakhya Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam Yuvanam Vashishtante Vasadrishiganaihi Avritam Brahmanishthaihi Acharyendram Karakalita Chinmudramanandarupam Swatma Ramam Muditavadanam Dakshinamurtimide Vatavitapi Samipe Bhumi Bhage Nishannam Sakala Muni Jananam Jnanadataram Arat Tribhuvana Gurumisham Dakshinamurti Devam Janana Marana Dukkha Cheda Daksham Namami Chitram Vatataror Mule Vriddha Shishya Gurur Yuva Gurostu Maunam Vyakhyanam Shishyastu Chinna Samshaya Nidhaye Sarva Vidyanam Bhishaje Bhavaroginam Gurave Sarva Lokanam Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Namah Pranavarthaya Shuddha Jnanaikamurtaye Nirmalaya Prashantaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. For chanting, I think Ganapati had suggested that we on this, where was this? Maya Kalpita Desha Kalana Vidyapti Sakshat Tasmai Vedas. So on verse number 3, at the pause, I think we will do it, is Yat Sakshat Karanat Bhaven, right? Bhavet, na bhavet. So with the Sindhi breaking, Bhavet na punaravrittir bhavambo nidhav. So we made a mistake to go a little bit more than that. So I think that's where we will break today. So with that, Vishwam Darpana Dishyamana Nagari Tulyam Nijantargatam Pashyannatmani Mayaya Bahi Vivodbhutam Yatha Nidraya Yat Sakshat Kurute Prabodha Samaye Swatmanamevadvayam Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namahitam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Bijasyantarivangkuro Jagadidam Prang Nirvikalpam Punaha Maya Kalpita Desha Kala Kalana वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि योगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये यस्यैव स्फुरणं सदात्मकम् असत्कल्पार्थगं भासते साक्षात् तत्त्वमसीति वेदवचसा यो बोधयत्याश्रितान् यत्साक्षात्करणाद् भवेत् न पुनरावृत्तिर्भवाम्भोनिधौ तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नानाचित्रघटोत्तरस्थितं दीपप्रभाभास्वरं ज्ञानं यस्य तु चक्षुरादि कर्णद्वारा बहिस्पन्दते जानामीति तमेव भान्तम् अनुभात् एतत् समस्तं जगत् तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये देहं प्राणमपि इन्द्रियानपि चलां बुद्धिं च शून्यं विदुः स्त्रीबालान्धजडोपमास्त्वहमिति भ्रान्ताभिसंवादिनः मायाशक्तिविलासकल्पितमहा व्यामोहसंहारिणे तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये. I think we will tune up on where to break. I have to listen to the one I still have not done, so the one that you have sent, Ganapati, and then we'll make sure that we are all in sync. Even I have made a mistake a couple of times. So, okay, so we are still proceeding with the explanation of verse number 1. Nana chidrigatodhara sthita mahadeepa prabhabhaswaram. So, do you remember the key word for verse number 1? Who can say that? Yes. Atma Pratyak Swarupam. So that should be kept in mind. Meaning, as I have said I've said in my notes, that all the time we are dealing with our experiences of the world. And it's kind of like, it's an extended movie is really what it is. The experiences of the life are really like a movie. And so when you are in a, let's see if I can adjust it. Is it? Oh. Some hum is there.
Someone changed the settings.
Oh.
Go ahead, because you can adjust that.
Yeah.
You can go ahead,
No,
because
that's fine.
that will give him indication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no hum. If the volume is okay, then we are good. So imagine that you are watching a movie. And while you're watching a movie, it is very appropriate that you are involved with the plot of the movie. Otherwise, why are you watching it? Because you go to a movie is because you think that is something interesting and You are involved with the narrative of the movie, the plot of the movie, the acting of the movie, and so on. But here's the difference. When you're watching a movie, you know your identity separate from the movie. The fact that you are working in a job, this is the weekend or something, you're watching some Netflix, and then sure you're enjoying it, but at the end of the movie, there is a life that you lead, and you are aware of that. And it may be that you are not really thinking about your life while you're watching the movie. This actually is a very interesting, for those of you that have taken the Bhagavad Gita class on chapter 6, we actually went over this in some detail. And about the nature of Nididhyasanam. And at some point in time, we will go into that in a bit more detail. But the gist of it was that before you go to the movie, you are fully aware of you as a person, even including the fact that you are now going to a movie. You're purchasing a ticket, you're selecting a seat, you get the popcorn. All of that is part of your persona outside the movie. And Swami Paramarthananda really did a great job. I appreciated his taking us through the steps of this meditation, which we did in the Bhagavad Gita, and we are going to revise it again. What he said was that there is a very interesting transition that occurs about yourself as the movie starts. So you sort of like adjust your seat, you switch off your cell phone, you are aware of the neighbors, you're eating popcorn, all of that, and now the commercials are starting and you're not very interested in it, it's too loud usually anyway. So all of the preparation for the movie is going on. Now then the movie starts. Now in this transition, what happens is that you are slowly disassociating yourself from your own real persona and gliding into not just watching the movie, but soon after about 5 or 10 minutes, if the movie is any good, then you actually start to identify with the story and the characters of the movie, isn't it? And very soon, at some point in time, so you are a persona here and the movie was not even there, but pretty soon that persona starts to diminish, fade away sort of, and the movie comes up, and at a certain point in time, these two reverse. And you are at that point, if the movie is very good and you went with an interest in the movie, you are now completely identified with the new plot, the new narrative. And, you laugh and cry and whatever it is and so on and so forth. During this time, your persona is completely submerged. And then as soon as the movie ends, very rather suddenly, you have to remember, where is your car, and you take any messages from your iPhone. So now this thing reverses. So in this process, there is a beginning and end to the movie. And while the movie is going on, you are now fully involved in a new world altogether. And by the way, this is also true when you are reading a book. Same thing happens. When you're starting to read a book, at first you are just reading a book, page number so-and-so, who's the author, and similar kind of a thing. We don't have to go through that. So now let us look at what is the situation how does this translate us into our lives? So the Shastra says, please see that this life, this waking state is like a movie that you are watching. And there is a difference. And the difference is that when you are watching a movie, or by the way, the dream also is very similar to that. So the dream also comes and goes, and while you're dreaming, you are in a different world altogether, dreamer's world, and your persona is completely hidden. And that is all engineered by Ishvara for lots of different reasons that we will talk about. We already did, and we will continue to point out why this was engineered that way. But be that as it may, the dream is also very similar to that. Now in Jagrat Avastha, here's the difference. You don't know what your real persona is. In a movie, you are very aware of your persona, even though you have consciously submerged it. You are not really identified with it for the time being. But at any one time, you can switch it off and go back to your own persona. In the life's movie, you went through the whole life, generally almost all of us, without understanding what your persona is. And you are actually looking for a persona. You're looking for, because it's not as though you are an exception or anything like that. In all of your actions about the movie, there is a certain basic dissatisfaction. But you don't know how to satisfy that dissatisfaction. So you keep on going on. You think that the answers are in the movie itself. So with that as the background, in the Dakshinamurti Stotram number 1, it says, really speaking, your persona has nothing to do with what you are watching. Nothing. Absolutely zero. And the only usefulness, because one can ask if it has nothing to do with me. If you say that my persona is and I'm making such an error, then why am I living like this? What's the reason for it? What's the usefulness of it? Well, one usefulness is that you certainly have moments of enjoyment, because you're not completely unhappy, most of us, unless there are some people who are so tragedy is their life that they are very unhappy. They don't see any happiness. But most of us get some morsels of happiness. So there is some joy in the movie itself. Like, for example, if you are a persona where you are very well-to-do, everything is well, you've got a nice house, nice car, family and everything, you're happy. But you willingly go to a movie where you are crying and so on. And in fact, Swami Maheshanji makes a very good point. He says, there is actually, there are people who question, how can something that is mithya create real happiness and unhappiness? And Swamiji says, going to a movie is a good example. You know it's mithya. You know that it is not really true. But you still enjoy crying and laughing and so on and so forth. You let it affect you. Anyway, that's a separate point. So going back to the argument, the question is, what does the movie do for you? What the movie does is somehow or the other plant a seed in your life that I have a persona which is separate from this movie. And if that seed is planted, then the idea is to pursue the flowering of that seed. And that means while you are watching the movie, it's kind of like you are in the middle of the movie and you forget that you are doing well. So the thing to do is, supposing you are watching a movie and you become very unhappy because the person you are relating to, the person that you are identified with, is having a terrible life, and therefore you by definition also are having a terrible life. And then you say, this is ridiculous. Why am I crying and why am I making myself miserable? I'm okay as a person. So you remind yourself and you transition back to your old persona. So the usefulness of the life is to plant a seed in your mind that I do have a personality separate from this. And this seed is given by Shastra, those who are fortunate enough to get an introduction to the Shastra. And this seed now needs to be nurtured. So even while you are watching the movie, because unlike a dream, you cannot turn off this movie. This movie belongs to two things. One is your past karmas and the other one is karma phala data Ishvara. He says, okay, you got yourself into this situation. Now here's what it is. And so the prarabdha karma will take you through the end of this life. This movie is going to continue. So the movie is not going to change. But what will change is your perception of it. And your perception and the flowering of the seed that my persona is separate from this. This is the usefulness of living. And these two are intermixed. So your experiences of the movie, and this is why it is said that the first step you should do, a very important first step you should do in your life, is to try to give up useless desire-prompted actions and slowly convert them into duty-oriented karma. It's kind of like, you are inebriated. It is true, our Shastra also says it, that the Maya Shakti is like the most powerful drug in the whole wide world. You have no idea, no amount of alcohol or all these crazy drugs that you hear about are equal to the power of Maya. And your mind has just gone haywire. You are looking at non-reality and you are taking it to be reality. There is nothing worse than that can happen. And the way to do that, there is a way to do that. Just like, you have a hangover. And the hangover is that you have to just let the alcohol, wear off. And you can accelerate it by drinking some coffee and so on and so forth. Similarly, there are ways to accelerate your finding your own persona while you are living in this dream, in this movie-like situation. And the way to do that is not to prolong the movie and become a participant in it. Because if you do that, you make it even more real. And the way to do that is you segment your life into, and it's not a sudden process. You have to slowly get to that point. But what you need to do is to segment your life into two. One is your own jiva shrishti, your own desire-prompted shrishti. I'd like to do this, then I want to do this, and so on and so forth. No, you don't. You're just prolonging the movie. The other one is that I want to get off. You can't do that either. This is the whole discussion in the Bhagavad Gita is exactly like this. So what Krishna says that really first thing you should do is that you have a certain momentum in the way you are acting at things. Your vasanas, your prarabdha karmas, your tendencies. There is a certain momentum. And you cannot suddenly stop it. The way to do that is to become sober slowly. And the way to become sober is to continue to do what is required. And you can't say that, "Well, I don't know what is required." Your whole life will tell you that. Your daughter will call and say, "Mom, what's happening? You have not called me back." Call her back. Can't spend too much time in meditation. You have to forget about that. You have to do things that are necessary. But if you make your own kind of plans, let's do this, let's go to the Giants game, let's go to Warriors game, let's do movie, this, so on and so forth, slowly drop off that. And so the whole idea in life is to, in short, develop a value for a persona different than this life. And then different from this. And this is what the first verse is saying. That is really, it says, Atma Pratyak Swarupam. Atma Pratyak Swarupam means that the nature of the Atma has nothing to do with what you are experiencing in life. And so your thinking should be, what? You must be kidding. Really? Yes. This is a fact. This is a fact. How? Now you are talking. This is the inquiry that we must do. Pratyak Swarupa means what? Who am I? What do I look like? In fact, sorry I'm taking so much time before going to I have some different agenda of what it is, but once you get started, you want to finish this. So one very interesting thing to see here, and again we discussed it with those of you that were in the Bhagavad Gita class. It's a very important chapter, the 6th chapter. So in the 6th chapter, what it said was, and Swami Paramarthananda actually made it even clearer the way he explained it and so on, is that Nididhyasanam is not just quietening your mind. So what it really means is, in terms of my life and how I should behave and view it, you cannot turn it off. It won't work. You can try, and people do. There's all kinds of Buddhists and so on and so forth, they just want to just do meditate. And you can keep it for a while. It seems to work for a while also. Completely vipassana. Just no thoughts are good. Thoughtlessness of the mind. That doesn't solve anything. Because the world, as long as the reality of the world is still impinging on you, you have not really done anything. So the Nididhyasanam, the definition of Nididhyasanam is not just quietening of the mind. So we don't believe in the Vedantic Ashtanga yoga of dharana, samadhi, etc. That's not what Vedanta is all about. Then what is it? What it is a very interesting thing. Same example of the movie, of going to a movie and losing your identity from your own life's persona to the movie's identity. How that happens? So how it happens is that someone gives you a narrative and a story which is very compelling. And you have to experience it. You have to see what is being said. And this is what happens where there are reviews, like this Bombay's terrorist attack. There's a movie going on. Huh?
Hotel Mumbai.
Hotel Mumbai. And so my family and some of the friends who said, let's go there. I said, no, I'm not going there. Because I saw what happened. Why do I want to relive it? There's no reason for me to just keep on crying and see how the people get. I don't know what happens. No, it's very compelling. It's very beautiful, and so on and so forth. So that's good. It's compelling, and it grips you. So there is a gripping narrative that you need to have. If you do that, your ability to give up your previous persona and adopt a new one is very good. Now, listen to this carefully. What Vedanta does is to give you a narrative of reality which you should find just as compelling. Otherwise, you are not going to give up anything just by closing your eyes and saying Om, 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 Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya doesn't do anything. You can quieten your mind for a while, but so what? What needs to happen is that something should lift you away from this narrative to something else, just like a movie's narrative is lifting you up. Similarly, it has to happen. This is what Shravanam is. And this is what the Dakshinamurti Stotram is. And it's not going to be easy. You have to appreciate the narrative of your own persona. How it is beginningless. How it is Swatasiddha. How it is Shiva. All of that has to be understood. And then your mind becomes so engrossed in that narrative that really if you keep repeating it to yourself, then finally you begin to see that I have it has the opposite effect, in fact, because the movie's narrative is very short-lived, isn't it? So the example is just the opposite of what we want to say. In the movie's example, the movie narrative, even though it's very engrossing and compelling, only lasts for like 2 hours. In Indian movies, 3 hours, and Western movies, 1.5 hours. And so it's very compelling, but after that, the long one is your own persona. In this one, it is just the opposite. If you understand the narrative of the Vedantic teaching, then that lasts forever. And this life becomes a blip. Whether it ends in 10 years or 5 years or 50 years doesn't matter. It's just the opposite. You see that? See what I'm saying? Because in the movie narrative, it is a temporary. But all I'm saying is that the movie narrative, if compelling, can completely change your personality for 1.5, 2 hours. Similarly, if you know the story, the compelling narrative of Vedanta about yourself, it in fact now is not just an hour and a half, it lasts, there's no reason why it will ever go away. No reason whatsoever. So therefore, really, this is how we should look at the Dakshinamurti Stotram. So in the very first verse it says that, listen, please see the essence of yourself is you are the watcher of this movie. And not just the Sakshi of this movie, but as a Sakshi, you have a lot of things going on that you better understand. By just saying I'm the Sakshi is just the beginning. That is just a very quick introduction to it, but there is so much more to the narrative that you need to get fully absorbed and get started before this movie ends and a new one starts. Next life, another movie starts. You've been watching this for 40, 70, 80, 90 years. Pretty soon your body gives up. But you haven't given up. You're still watching the movie. So the Ishvara gives you a new movie. All over. And the objective is to not watch the movie, but to watch yourself. And so the introduction in verse number 1 is, please see, you are none of what you are experiencing. You're totally different. Pratyak Swarupam, Atma Pratyak Swarupam, not Parak Swarupam. So we were analyzing that verse and all the implications of that, and so you have this cheat sheet that I talked about. So we had done the Mandu, the verses number in the Manasa Ullasa, verses number 8, 9, 10, which is number 1, 11, 12, which is number 2, 13, number 3, etc., etc. And now we are going to do point number 6, which is is also the crux of this verse also. And this consists of verses number 16 to 21. I made a mistake. I'm saying 15 to 21. It should be 16 to 21. And if you want to read up those verses, you can please do so. And so, Ishwaratva Jivatva Sarvatmatva Nirupanam. So, Nirupanam means to sketch, to explain, to outline. Obviously, all these verses are outlined. They are not exhaustive. You need much more text to do that, but it's an outline. Outline of what? Knowing, sketching out the nature of Ishvara, the nature of the individual, and the fact that basically the two are the same. So this is the purpose of verses number 16 to 21. So at this point in time, the discussion of the introduction of Ishvara in our life is now begun. Up to now, it was only about Atma, Jivatma, Atma Antarvartinaha Jakataha Bahirabhasaha Satta Spuranayoho Atma Ekayattanatvam Advaita Jnana Siddhihi Atma Jnanasya Sadhanani Purnahanta Anubhutihi. All of this has to do with the Jiva, with the individual. Now, Ishvara is being brought in for lots of reasons, and we are just beginning to do that. So there it says, look at this the following way. And so in verse number 16, so I won't read all of it, but in Sanskritam. Yatha swapne nripaha bhutva bhuktva bhogan yatha ipsitan chaturanga balopetaha shatrun jitva ranangane parat parajitaha bhutva vanaprapya tapascharan muhurtamatram atmanam manyate kalpa jivinam. So here's the meaning. He says, suppose you are dreaming, and in your dream you are a king, and a very powerful king with lots of armies at your disposal, and you conquer any threats to your kingdom easily, drive them away, and live a grand life. Grand life meaning with no limitations. Because the king who is well liked by his people and feared by his enemies has a grand life. Because the king is now very powerful. No one can limit him in any way. And you can imagine yourself to be in the dream that way. Then after a while, things deteriorate. You lose your power, and so there's always problems waiting on the periphery. So at first, yatha swapne nripo bhutva bhuktva bhogan yatha ipsita, powerful. Chaturanga balaupetaha shatrun jitva rathangane. Then parat parajitaha bhutva vanaprapya tapascharan. You lose your power, and now you become, you are captured by your neighboring kingdom. And in fact, he drives you away into the forest, and you lead a very difficult, miserable life amongst dangerous animals, not having enough food to eat, with just a few people, and you have a miserable life. So now you have a unlimited king experience and a limited king experience. And Ishvara and Jiva are exactly like that. Ishvara is powerful, unlimited, can do anything he wants to, and is not limited by anyone. And another form of the creation is the same Ishvara. The same Ishvara becomes you and I. It is not a different Ishvara. The same Ishvara becomes a Jiva who has not a very good life. He is already under the control of a lot of different factors. All of a sudden you have a headache. All of a sudden you have a stomach ache. All of a sudden you have a cancer. All of a sudden you lose your job. And all kinds of things and so on. It's the same Ishvara. This is really exactly what the situation is. You can play a role of Ishvara, you can play a role of Jiva. And another thing that happens is that while you are in the dream, you think this is going to go on forever. In other words, this is just like the explanation of reality. The elements of reality is when you are dreaming, and so we are analyzing this in much more detail in the Mandukya Upanishad, Karika. We're in the middle of the Karika to do exactly this. But the gist of that is given in here as well. That when you are dreaming, you don't say, my gosh, so when is this dream going to be over soon? Then I can wake up and then have fun. No. Here, Swami Maheshananji says that, in fact, it is given in the in verse number 17, it says, the second line, Parat Parajitah Bhutva Vanam Prapya Tapaf Charan, in miserable living in the forest, Muhurtamatram Atmanam Manyate Kalpa Jivitam. Jivinam. Even though the whole REM sleep is less than 48 minutes, Muhurta means 48 minutes, it seems like it is a long time. It's a long time. Similarly, our life, it looks like it's going to be there for a long time. In fact, it is flickering very quickly. Very quickly. And it's going to be over before you realize it. And this is going to end. And unfortunately, if you haven't discovered it, it'll continue having a next life. And so the elements of both dream and the waking state are very similar. Very similar. So similarly, this is the same Ishvara that helping is doing in both ways. So much more to discuss on this part of it. And then in verse number 19 of the Manasa Ullasa, number 19, the point made is that, really speaking, we are not a separate entity. We are really nothing but Ishvara's form. So look at this. This is an example that one should really think about it. So, look at a golden ring. A ring or a necklace. Let's say a ring. What is the reality of this golden ring? Isn't it gold only? Then what is peculiar about the ring? Nama Rupa, name and form only. So there is something called a ring which is separate from a necklace. Sure. So it is not as though it's not just pure gold. Even though it is pure gold, but it has a certain form, certain utility, and a certain name. But as you know very well, the weight of the ring is the weight of the gold. There is no separate weight of the ring. The color of the ring is the color of gold. Everything is borrowed from the gold. Gold is the reality, and the name and form is just kind of talking points. Vacha Rambanam Namadheyam Vrittika Ityeva Satyam. Chandogya Upanishad. And so, now look at this. So when I say, here's who I am, you know what it is? Name and form only. Jiva, just like a ring is not a separate entity from gold. It's not as though this is gold and this is ring. Where there is gold, there is a ring. But there is something added just for fun, which is Nam and Nama Rupa. So similarly, the Jiva is not separate from Ishvara. So when we say Ishvara, you can say that as Brahman, the very content of Ishvara, Atma, in fact. And so it is not separate from Ishvara, not separate from Brahma. In fact, one can say there is no such thing as a ring or a necklace. They are all manifestations of one thing, which is gold. So similarly, all jivas are nothing but Ishvara. And in my stubbornness and stupidity, I say, no, this is me. This is me. And I see I'm different, and I'm, for good or bad, this is just leave me alone. Leave me to my own life. This is my stubbornness, and this is my stupidity. And the sooner I see that I am nothing but Pratyak Swarupa Atma with a name and form. Yes, sure. With something which is unique. We saw that in the word in Mandukya called Apurva. The word Apurva comes in, which is unique. And so there is something unique about me. And in fact, the uniqueness is very interesting. As you know very well, the example given is that no thumbprints are the same. No thumbprints. Can you imagine that? What a creation. Just this much. You can create. There's nothing that two of them are alike. Amazing. But that's what it is. Me as an individual, and I go around, bending around, sawing. This is me, this is my life, this is when I began, this is what I studied, these are my aspirations, this is my tragedy, this is my comedy, these are my wife, this is my husband, and so on and so forth. We keep on conducting it. It's just like saying, I'm a ring, I'm not a necklace, I'm better than that, I weigh so much, and people are popular with it. There are more rings than necklaces. Even men wear rings. All kinds of things they can say about themselves. And the gold is just sitting there quietly, saying, okay, fine. Okay, just be stubborn and stupid. That's fine. What am I supposed to do? This is the situation. So in number 19, he says, Swami Maheshananji says, ईश्वर ही माया के वश होकर जीव भाव को प्राप्त होता है. जीव नामक कोई स्वतंत्र पदार्थ नहीं है जिसका प्रतिपादन करते हैं. Number 19. He says, and then there's a very interesting example given by Sureshwaracharya on this. Number 19, he says, मेघच्छन्नः अंशुमाली इव मायया मोहितः अधिकं किंचित कर्तात किंचित ज्ञः लक्ष्यते परमेश्वरः. So he says that imagine on a cloudy day the sun is hidden. Okay? And you say there is no sun. We will not see the sun today. So cloudy. My God, it is such a there's no sun is rising. There's no sun today, the whole day. And really speaking, by the time the evening comes, the sun is still not risen and so on. But by whom are you seeing that there is no sun? By the sun. Did you have a candle to see that there is no sun? So the sun himself hides himself but gives you enough light. It doesn't give you the sharpness of the light to be there. It was interesting. I have a solar on my roof. It was really the best thing that I did. And I did it very early on, like 9 years ago. And it's fun for me to see, because the roof of my home is kind of cut up. It's not a very uniform. And so the number of solar panels that you can put in are very few. It's only 18 panels. And I generate like 3 kilowatts of energy maximum on it. And so it's really fun for me to see at the end of a cloudy day how much energy has been generated by the sun. And on a clear day like almost today, tomorrow will be even clearer, how much the energy will be generated. Do you know, yesterday the solar panel generated 5.5 kilowatts the whole day. Do you know what it was today? 19 kilowatts. Amazing. What a difference just from the cloud. But it did generate some energy. So similarly here also, the sun hiding himself clearly shows that there is sun available. So similarly, even though my jiva's life is a cloudy life, it's not very powerful, I don't see Ishvara. This is exactly what happens. I don't know where Ishvara is. I have a lot of doubts. I hear these people talk about Ishvara all the time, but I don't know. This is what happens in doubts. Remember, Swami Maheshanji had given this example. He said, there is a special place where people with doubts are placed by Ishvara. This is just some Puranic stories. I don't know to what degree it is true. So this person had a big doubt. And so his friends told him, no, don't doubt it. This is not a good thing to do. He says, but no, what can I do? It's not clear to me. I'm not sure whether there is Ishvara or not. He found himself hanging upside down in a cave with his feet up and he's down. And he says, who are you all? He says, don't you know where you are? He says, no. He says, we are in the cave of doubters. Everybody who's hanging here has been specially brought here that you saw the truth, but your own stupidity, you're saying, I don't know where Ishvara is. I don't know. You put in here, in this cave. And you're supposed to be kept hanging there for quite a long time. And then you will be released. Amazing is the worst thing you can do. See, if you're never introduced to Vedanta, then you should not look down upon anyone. Well, you should not look down upon anyone anytime. But especially, when you're meeting with people and so on and so forth, and they have no idea and they're acting stupidly and so on, you say, I sympathize with you, and so on and so forth. But suppose you find a student who has had the opportunity to learn, to be exposed to this knowledge, and yet is careless. You ask him, hey, this happens to me many times. I just met somebody there was a bhajan group. So one of our friends invited us to this. So this bhajan mandali, they have people that go one month here and they sing songs and so on, have a good meal. Then they go to somebody else's place next month. So they are very nice. So somehow I was invited to that. So when I was there, somebody says, Vijayji, I used to be your student. So honestly, I didn't recognize him at all. I don't know. He's some Jayaraman or somebody with his wife, and they both came. So then I said, yeah, I think I do remember you. Anyway, wonderful, very nice. How are you? Where are you? So I said, are you in touch with Vedanta and so on? He says, no, not really. So I said, okay, that's fine, that's okay, that's okay. Internally, I was finding, did I fail you? You came to my classes and did not continue the enquiry. It doesn't have to be with me, with somebody else. Is what happens. So even though, so here the relevance is this. Just like even the absence of sun is set up by the sun. Similarly, the stupidity of the jiva is only possible by the non-stupidity of Ishvara. Even the possibility of having a doubt, this is the way to puncture the doubt, not get bamboozled by the doubt. Because this one say, well, no one is explaining it to me well. What can I do? I have to, I have my own mind. I have to keep on doubting until somebody clears it. The way to clear that is, my goodness, by whose presence are you doubting? Go to the source of it, which is the Atma. And that Atma is always present. It may not be clearly shown at this point. Just like on a cloudy day, the sun may not be clear at this point. But don't you see that even the non-clarity of the sun is set up by the sun? This is the way to inquire. And so, really speaking, even so, we will see this that my knowledge, my awareness, my sakshitvam, I'm aware, I know, the feeling that I know is also the presence of Ishvara. There is only one jnana. Not as though I came up with my own. It's not as though I am the only one that knows. Tell the whole class, do you know I know? So he says, yes. So he says, no, but I am something I'm very, very unique. I know things. So yes, what do you mean by you know things? Do you think I don't know that? So I don't know about you, but I'm just telling you that I know. I know what is good, what is bad. What a piece. It's as though this is my own personal property. I created on my own knowledge. You cannot be born without already I know. I know it is dark, I know it is light, I know my eyes are open. I know. Nothing happens without this awareness. And we don't inquire into it. What an amazing thing. Everything else comes and goes, but this one doesn't. This is Ishvara. Where else is there? I keep looking at, is this some kind of a happening that is going to take place? Funny, life is so funny. So, just yesterday actually, what an interesting experience. So yesterday, my gate, somebody was trying to get into the gate. So I said, who is it? He says, I'm the PG&E person. I installed some kind of a solar battery, and so he came to validate it. So he says, can I take a look at this? I said, sure, come. So he came, and then he looked at it, and he says, yeah, everything is good. then he said he was about a 50-year-old PG&E guy. And then as he was leaving, I don't know what came over him. He says, "Are you from India?" I said, "Yes." He says, "Namaste." I said, "Namaste." Wonderful. So I said, "Where are you from?" Listen to this. This is so beautiful. He says, "I am from Vietnam in my present life, and I was an Indian in my previous life." I said, "What?" He says, "I meditate a lot." And he says, "My guru told me that my previous life was I was in India." Then for the next, it seemed like half hour, but probably for 5 minutes, he talked to me about his guru. That what he is like Buddha, he's a Buddhist, I think, this guy was a Buddhist. That how his guru has the same powers as Buddha. He can see through. And then he paid me a great compliment. I thought it was so wonderful. He says, "You look like my guru." So I says, "Oh, that's wonderful. But I don't have any of the qualities of the guru. I just look like him, that's it." He told me the qualities of the guru. That he knows everything. He knows what the next life is, what the previous life is. And, yeah. And but wonderful guy. He gave me such a great example. He said, this was on Monday. Yeah, yesterday. It was on Monday. So he says, "I'll tell you, my guru's teachings have just been so good to me." He says, "I'll give you an example." So he says, "My supervisor gave me some jobs to do, and on Saturday I was supposed to go visit somebody, and I forgot. So he says, just this morning, 2 hours ago, the guy called me and he chewed me out. And he said, 'I'm going to fire you. I told you that on Friday you were supposed to go to somebody on a Saturday, and you didn't do it. And how can you?" And so he says, "But my guru told me, just be calm. Do not react. And he says, all the effect of meditation that I've been doing." So I just hung my head down and I said, "I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry." And then there is an ending to the story. So after half hour, he gets a phone call from the manager of his supervisor and says, "This guy here," I don't know what his name was, he says, "This guy chewed you out and I'm really mad at him. He shouldn't have done that. It's not your fault because he told you that verbally, but it was never written down, and you always follow the written things."
Oh my God.
And he says, "I'm very sorry. I'm very apologetic. It's a stupid thing that your supervisor did to you." He says, "All done by my guru. That I did not react, and I didn't know. Actually, I did make a mistake. I should have really not even, because he told me that I don't know if it's written down or not, but you have to do this." So he says, "It was clearly my mistake, but I did not react." So he says, "You must be meditating just like this, like my guru." I said, yes, I also meditate exactly like this." He says he can see previous lives, and he gave me another example that I wrote, all kinds of things. Then I said, and he wanted to stay on and give me the whole story. Then I had to just say, "I've got to go. I have some things to do," and so on and so forth. What a wonderful person. Just amazing. Where was I? I don't remember what the connection is and so on. So really speaking, I think it's just that everyone has the same awareness, same asakshi, and that is the Ishvara. It's just like you cannot be a person without being Brahman. You cannot be a ring without being gold. It's not a new beginning, it's just a form. And the sooner we see that the ringness and the form and the name is just a movie. It's a very complicated, sophisticated movie. But really speaking, it is just the Pratyak Swarupam, the Atma. There's no other reality to it. Only the Pratyaktvam has the reality. Only the mirror is real. All the pictures on it are just, they look like they're real, but they're not. So that is, I was hoping to finish this verse, but I think this has gone on I'm not even half done yet. So forget about my 40 weeks for this course. This has gone on for a longer time. So anyway, I'll stop here. And then, anyway, I think we're done with number 6, which is Manasa Ullasa 16 to 21. And I think the rest of them are very quick, so I'm very sure that I will finish it next week. And there's no class next week, right?
No.
So whenever we meet 2 weeks from now, then we will finish the verse number 1, and then go on. Okay, let's chant the last 5 verses. Rahu grasta divankarendu sadisho maya samachadana sanmatra karanopasamharanato yo bhut sushuktaf puman pragaswap samiti prabodha samaye yaf pratyapjayate tasmai shri guru murtaye namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Balyadishvapi Jakritadishu Tatha Sarvasvavasthasvapi Vyavrittasvanuvartamanam Ahamityantaspurantam Sada Swatmanam Prakati Karoti Bhajatam Yo Mudraya Bhadraya Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Vishwam Pashyati Karya Karanataya Swaswami Sambandhataha Shishyacharya Tathaiva Putratyatmana Bhedataha Swapne Jagrati Vaya Esha Purusho Maya Paribhramitaha Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Bhuram Bhansya Nalo Nilo Ambar Maharnartho Himam Shuvpuman Ityabhati Chara Charatmakamidam Yasyaiva Murtyashtakam Nanyat kinchina vidyate vimrashatam Yasmat parasmat vibhoho Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Sarvatmattvamiti sputikritamidam Yasmadamushminstave Tenasya Shavanatadartamanat Dhyanatcha Sankirtana Sarvatmatva Mahavibhuti Sahitam Syadishwaratvam Swataha Siddhyetat Punarashtatha Parinatam Chaishwaryam Avyahatam Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityo Ma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Questions? All right, we will see you next week then. Okay. Namaskar.
Jiji, the Sanskrit teacher has come to the class.
Yes, this lady is the one who is the
Thank you.
teacher.
There's a simple-
Okay. Yes,
Okay,
yes.
follow up.